If a person has been burned, if their ashes have been scattered by the wind, can Jesus still resurrect them? This question has tormented the hearts of many Christians throughout the centuries. After all, how can the same God who promised to resurrect the dead reunite what has already turned to dust, what has already been carried away by the sea or consumed by fire? Have you ever stopped to think about this? Perhaps someone close to you has been cremated. Perhaps this doubt arose silently in a moment of mourning as you looked at the ashes and wondered, can God still restore this? What you're about to discover may surprise you. The Christian faith is founded on the promise of resurrection in Jesus' power over death and all creation. But when the body is destroyed by fire, many wonder if this promise is still possible. The Bible speaks of a day when all who are in the graves will hear the voice of the Son of God and come out, but what about those who no longer have graves? And those whose bodies can never be found again? These questions touch the heart because they directly address something we all fear: the end, oblivion, the idea that something might be beyond even God's power. And that's precisely why this topic is so fascinating. It compels us to look beyond the visible, to think about divine omnipotence and the nature of life itself. Cremation has always been viewed with some suspicion by certain religious groups. Some believe that by choosing fire instead of earth, we're disrespecting the body, the temple of the Holy Spirit. Others, however, argue that the body is nothing more than the vessel of the soul, and that God's power does not depend on matter. And you, what do you think about this? Imagine a day when Christ himself returns, and the dead are called back to life. Imagine the ashes gathering, the wind returning each particle to its original place, and a new creation emerging before everyone's eyes. It seems impossible, doesn't it? But remember, the same God who created man from the dust of the earth can also recreate him from the ashes of fire. It's curious to think that, for God, nothing is truly lost. The universe is made of atoms, and every atom that once composed a human body still exists somewhere, traveling through the atmosphere, mixing with the soil, plants, and water. Nothing disappears. It only changes form. And if even science says that nothing is created, nothing is lost, everything is transformed, how much more can the creator of all things transform? But there's something even deeper behind this question. When we talk about whether Jesus can resurrect the cremated, what we're really asking is there any limit to God's power? And that's where faith and fear meet. Doubt is human, but the promise is divine. Stay with me until the end, because understanding what the Bible really says about this can completely change how you see life, death, and the future. This isn't just a theological discussion, it's a revelation about the nature of God and the scope of his promise. Imagine the moment when the heavens open, and the voice of the Son of Man echoes throughout the universe, calling back to existence those whom many considered lost forever. What today seems like dust, tomorrow may be glory. And perhaps understanding this is the key to a faith far deeper than you imagine. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about now. You know, when we talk about something as profound as the resurrection of the cremated, we're not just discussing a theological curiosity, we're touching on something that touches the human heart. Because, deep down, this question carries a universal feeling, the desire to be reunited, to believe that love doesn't end when the body is gone. Perhaps you've lost someone, and at some point wondered if that person will still be remembered by God, if one day they will rise again. And it is precisely here that faith proves more powerful than fear. Jesus promised that none of those whom the Father entrusted to him will be lost. None. Not those in the sea, nor those turned to dust, nor those consumed by fire. The power of resurrection does not depend on what remains of the body, it depends on him who calls to life. And when we understand this, our hearts are filled with hope. By the way, I really want to know how you feel about this topic. Have you ever had this doubt? Have you had someone close to you who was cremated and wondered how God will deal with it on the day of resurrection? Leave a comment below sharing what has touched you the most so far, your experiences, your questions, even your uncertainties. It's amazing to see how each story, each point of view, helps build a vibrant conversation about faith and the power of God. And if this message speaks to you, if it somehow brought comfort, reflection, or awaken something in your heart, don't forget to leave your like. It may seem like a simple gesture, but it's what shows YouTube that this content has value, and it allows more people to find these words of hope when they need them most. Take this opportunity to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. That way, you can continue following this journey with us, studying the prophecies, exploring the mysteries of the Bible, and discovering how each of Jesus' promises remains alive today. Your presence here makes all the difference. It's what keeps this community of faith and reflection growing, reaching new people, and spreading the message that death does not have the last word. So comment, like, and subscribe not only to support the channel, but so that this conversation about faith and eternity continues to resonate further and further. Because what follows will help you understand, in an even deeper way, the true power of God over life, over the body, and over the impossible. Do you know why this question affects so many people? Because behind it lies a silent fear that few admit. The fear that something, as definitive as fire could extinguish hope. When a family chooses cremation, they almost always do so out of love, practicality, respect. But deep down, a doubt whispers, does this change eternal destiny? Many Christians carry this conflict in their hearts between reason and faith, between what the Bible promises and what the human mind can comprehend. And it is at this point that faith is truly tested. Cremation is not merely a physical act. It is a powerful symbol of transformation. The body is decomposed, but love, memory, and promise remain. It is a reminder that all that we are in the flesh is fleeting, but what we are in spirit belongs to eternity. Still, it is natural to feel doubt. Human beings fear what they cannot control. They fear losing the bond with those they love. This is the most human aspect of faith, believing even without understanding everything. Now, I want to delve even deeper into the subject, because there's a hidden truth behind this fear, something that speaks to the power of God, to the essence of life, and to what resurrection truly means. Comment below, this makes sense to me. Jesus said in John 5:28-29, do not marvel at this, for the hour is coming when all who are in the tombs will hear his voice and come out. This promise is so profound that it transcends time and defies human logic. He didn't say some. He didn't limit the power to the earth or the grave. He saddled those who are at sea, in the desert, under ruins, or even reduced to dust. This is the essence of the Christian faith, to believe that the Creator knows every particle, every fragment of what he once called life. The same God who formed man from the dust of the earth is capable of recreating him from ashes. It's impressive to think about this from a spiritual perspective, but also from the perspective of transformation. Dust, which in human eyes symbolizes the end, in God's hands becomes raw material for a new beginning. Death, which for many is the final point, for him is just a comma in the eternal journey. When Jesus speaks of resurrection, he speaks of purpose, of continuity, of a reality that goes beyond what our minds can decipher. Now, I want to delve even deeper into the subject, because understanding the power of this promise completely changes your mindset about life, death, and what it truly means to exist. Write this down. I'm on this journey too. In Genesis 2-7, it is written that God formed man from the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. This verse in itself reveals something extraordinary. Life was not born from matter, but from will. The dust was always there, inert, formless, until the divine touch transformed it into something living. This shows that God's creative power does not depend on what exists, but on what he decides to bring into existence. The Creator does not need the original body to restore humankind. He only needs his word, and it is sufficient to recreate what was lost. When we understand this, we realize that no physical limitation can contain the power of God. Fire, time, forgetfulness, none of these have authority over the divine will. The same God who, from nothing, made everything we see, is capable of reconstructing every detail of who we were, with precision and love. And this revelation changes our mindset about death and about what it truly means to exist. Now, I want to delve even deeper into the subject, because there's a powerful truth hidden in how God transforms the impossible into a new beginning. Comment below, this makes sense to me. There is a curious truth that both science and faith acknowledge. Nothing truly disappears. Everything that exists merely changes form. When something is burned, destroyed, or undone, its matter continues to live in another way in particles, in atoms, and energy. The body that was once flesh and bone does not cease to exist, it merely transforms. And if even modern science affirms that nothing is lost, everything is transformed, imagine what the power of God can do with this. He is the author of the laws that govern the universe, and he is not limited by them. If atoms remain, if the essence of creation never dissolves, then the Creator has all the tools to restore life, even when it seems impossible in human eyes. Faith doesn't contradict physics, it transcends it. The difference is that where science sees transformation, God sees purpose. And purpose always goes beyond logic. That's the beauty of creation. Everything was designed so perfectly that even what seems like an end still contains the seed of a new beginning. Now, I want to delve even deeper into the subject because there's a powerful revelation about how God uses the impossible as a stage to demonstrate his glory. Write this down. I'm on this journey too for a long time. Cremation was viewed with suspicion. In some cultures, it was even considered taboo. Many believed that burning the body would be an act of desecration, as if fire could hinder God's work. But when we look closely, we realize that the Bible never condemns cremation. The focus of the word was never the physical fate of the body, but rather faith in the power of the Creator. The promise of resurrection does not depend on where the body is, nor on how it was returned to earth. It depends only on God's will. Throughout history, countless lives have been lost in wars, shipwrecks, and fires. Bodies burned, destroyed, forgotten. And yet, Scripture affirms that all the dead will hear the voice of Christ. This means that neither the sea, nor fire, nor oblivion are obstacles for him. The resurrection is an act of absolute power, not of physical location. Now, I want to delve even deeper into the subject because there's a transformative truth about the value of faith and how it transcends even death. Comment below, this makes sense to me. In Ezekiel 37, the prophet is led to a valley filled with dry bones. Imagine this scene. A heavy silence covers the land, the ground is cracked, the wind carries the dust. Those bones, a symbol of a people without hope, lie forgotten. But then the voice of God echoes, Son of man, prophesy to these bones, and when he speaks, something extraordinary happens. The sound of bones coming together, tendons forming, flesh covering what was once only ash and desolation. The Spirit breathes, and what was dust comes back to life. It is as if the earth itself breathes again. This vision is not just about bodies being restored. It is about faith being rekindled, about the divine power that transforms the impossible into reality. When Ezekiel saw that army rise up, he understood that death is not the end, but the stage where God reveals his strength. It is a reminder that nothing is lost, even when everything seems formless. Now, I want to delve even deeper into the subject, because there is something hidden in this prophecy that speaks directly to our own spiritual journey. Write this down. I'm on this journey too. When we talk about resurrection, many people simply imagine a body returning to life as if it were a kind of reconstruction of what once existed. But the truth is much deeper. The Bible shows that human beings are composed of body, soul, and spirit, and each part plays an essential role in our existence. The body is the visible shell, the instrument that connects us to the physical world. The soul is the center of emotions, memories, and decisions. The Spirit is the divine breath, the spark that comes directly from God. In the resurrection, it is not only the body that awakens, but the entire essence of the human being is restored and transformed. The body that rises is no longer fragile, limited, or subject to pain. It is a glorified, incorruptible body, similar to that of Christ after the resurrection. He could pass through walls, but he still ate, spoke, and touched. It was the same Jesus, but completely different. This reveals that the divine purpose is not only to restore life, but to elevate creation to a new level of existence. Now, I want to go even deeper into the subject, because this difference between the earthly body and the glorified body hides one of the most impactful truths about eternity. Comment below, this makes sense to me. Think for a moment. What if it were you? What if all that remained of you was dust, ashes, a distant memory? Would you believe that God still has the power to resurrect you, to call you by name, and bring you back to life? This is a question that goes beyond religion. It touches the root of faith. Because believing in resurrection isn't about understanding, ask this will happen, but regarding trust and womb it will happen. Science explains the processes of matter, but faith reveals the mystery of transformation. And it is precisely at this point that fear needs to give way to hope. Some see death as the end, but the truth is that for those who believe, it is only a passage. Faith does not ignore pain, but traverses it with eyes fixed on the promise. The same God who breathed life into the dust once can do it again with you, with me, with all who trust in him. Now, I want to delve even deeper into the subject, because understanding the power of resurrection completely changes how we face life and the present moment. Write this down. I'm on this journey too. Neither fire, nor sea, nor time can thwart Jesus' promise. This is the truth that transcends centuries, tragedies, and human doubts. Because faith is not made of logic, it is made of conviction, that silent certainty that the impossible is still God's territory. When all seems lost, when matter crumbles, it is there that his power is revealed. The resurrection is not about what the body can do, but about what the Creator has decided to do. And if he said he will call his own back, there is no element of creation capable of resisting his voice. Every atom, every particle of whoever once lived, still responds to the Creator's command. It is the living promise that sustains hearts amidst uncertainty. To believe this is to have a mindset that transcends reason. It is to choose to trust in the Word instead of appearances. Now, I want to delve even deeper into the subject, because understanding this kind of faith changes everything in how we face the fear of death and the meaning of eternity. Comment below, this makes sense to me.